to start off today with the first haunted house film, really, I think, that's considered by many to be the definitive haunted house film. I disagree, but I'm going to hand the baton over here to Eric and tell us what the film is.
The Haunting by, my God, what's his name?
Robert
Wise. I love horror literature, and this is one of my favorite movies. I understand that some people might see it today going into it after we've seen a whole slew of horror movies and everything that, might seem a little dated and quaint. But I still love it. I think it's beautifully shot. Everyone knows the premise. A bunch of people are selected to go to this house for an experiment. Turns out the house is haunted. It's supposed to be one of the most haunted houses in the world. I mean, I acknowledge there's certain problems that I think sometimes it's overwrought. I think Julie Harris's performance in the film is a little melodramatic. But I like the idea of the house wanting her. I think that's a very creepy concept. I like the idea that we're not really sure what's going on in that house. We don't really know if it's really, which was a big problem with the remake, where the house was not only haunted, but it was CGI haunted.
You actually, in this one, it's more psychological.
It's more psychological.
It's in the brain, and the remake is more, you really see it's haunted.
And there's interesting sort of like connections between certain characters. The idea that the Julie Harris character has sort of a crush on the Richard Johnson character. Little interesting sort of James Bond connection. Richard Johnson was asked to be James Bond, turned it down, became Connery. Miss Moneypenny's in this film, plays his wife.
Yeah, now Richard Johnson was smart enough, and he went to zombie.
The whole idea that and the whole idea that his wife shows up and then disappears, and you don't really know why, the house is taking her, whatever, and you just find out that she just doesn't know what happened, she was lost. I mean, everything has sort of a psychological explanation to the film. But at the same time, it's not quite right, and I just think it's a beautifully shot film. Some of the best black and white photography I've seen.
It is beautifully shot, but my problem with it is it seemed like at the end, maybe it's more ambiguous than I had thought. But to me, I thought, oh, this all took place in her head. It's not haunted. She's crazy, and I didn't like that. But you don't do the Jan de Bont angle either and go, not only is it haunted, it's 3D haunted.
I disagree with that because they established that other characters are witnessing things. The whole thing with, what's her name, who became Mrs. Charlie Chaplin for a while.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I'm sorry. It's Geraldine.
Not Una O'Neill.
No. I've totally spaced on her name.
Character X, anyway.
The lesbian character, who is not lesbian in the remake, by the way, because, of course, Catherine Zeta-Jones can't play a lesbian in the remake, but the scene where they're both in separate beds and the one character, and it's not Julie Harris, says, you're holding my hand too tight, or is that Julie Harris is saying you're holding my hand too tight? He's like, I'm not holding your hand. That's a very spooky moment.
Yeah.
They're all there in the room when the door starts to bulge a little bit, which is a pretty impressive low budget effect. I mean, it's just very simple, rubber door, but it's creepy. And they can hear the footsteps upstairs. And the notion that, wait a minute, my wife is up there. Where are those footsteps going? I think that while a lot is suggested, you can sort of glean from the film that there probably is something going on there, even though no one can really put their finger on it. I thought the balance was just right.
It's like you're reading a report of what's happening. You're not really seeing it on screen. You're hearing it from other people. And I mean, hell, you could just say, my hand is being held, but you could be lying. So you never really know what's truly happening. It could be the house is not haunted and someone is lying to say that it really is for other reasons.
To drive her insane.
Yeah, I like a lot of the film, I think, but the problem for me is it's very, very slow. It's a really slow-moving film. It takes its time.
Not enough kicking.
You can see a lot of the same techniques, though. To be fair, though, The Haunting did inspire quite a few films, and I think the film that really took a lot from it is Rosemary's Baby, in terms of not being a haunted house, but just being psychological, and taking its time to tell the thing and setting up things like, what could this be? What could this be? And I think Roman Polanski did a better job.
I should start off this show by saying this is not one of my favorite category of films, but I thought the original was slow, but it was interesting because I like more psychological horror sometimes. But it did feel slow, but I just figured that was because of the age of the film, and today's horrors, you always have slam bam in your face, and this is more slow moving, tells the story through different things, so it's okay.
Now, Erica, you were mentioning you felt the film was a little dated, and you said you agree with that. What do you feel is necessarily dated about the film?
Well, I think that the level of performances are kind of in that sort of like mid-century sort of like Hollywood studio style performance level. But what you've got going on there is you have a mixture of these actors. You know, the whole actor studio thing starting to seep in, and people are still trying to gauge, okay, what's realistic acting versus Hollywood acting at that time? So Julie Harris is sort of a combination of both. So there's a bit of, it gets a little hysterical.
Yeah, she's a very good actress, but I think the thing is this, is that they try to, I think the hidden subtext that she's a lesbian herself in the movie.
Yeah.
They're kind of hinting at that. But the problem is that she just really overdoes it in some scenes. She just overdoes this mousy character.
The Haunting was actually the novel influenced the novel that The Legend of Hell House is based on.
Which is
And
the
that's
next movie
the
we're
next film.
discussing.
Richard Matheson was on record as saying that the legend of the Haunting of Hill House, which is the title of the book,
Yes.
it's a novella, was inspired because his whole response to The Haunting was bullshit. It's not imaginary. It really is haunted, and this is my take.
But let's get on let's get on the Legend of Hell House. I'm going to start off by saying Legend of Hell House is probably my favorite haunted house film. I'm not the biggest haunted house fan because they're very hard to do good. They're very hard to do right. It's a very limited genre. You're in a house and you're haunted. It's just like you can leave. Get the hell out of there, and it's over. But people usually don't leave. They don't learn their lesson. But anyway, The Legend of Hell House is a great movie where a team of scientific investigators go to research a house that is I guess you could say, rumored to be the most haunted house.
The Mount Everest of haunted houses.
Is the actual quote from the film.
Actual quote. And it's led by a team, including Roddy McDowall, who looks a lot like Andy Warhol with those glasses, as a medium. And please forgive me, Pamela
Franklin?
Pamela Franklin as another a medium, and they go into this house with some scientists who have a actual machine to see if they can actually detect ghosts. The way the story is told is through science and through, I guess you could say, some psychological angles. I really thought it was a very intelligent adaptation of,
I thought it was great. I mean, there is like little funny moments in there, like when the cat attacks the psychic, and it's clearly a stuffed cat that they're like, putting her on a fishing line or whatever. But I think what they go into, especially the psychosexual moments with the ghost going with the psychic. I don't know if she's a psychic or an empath that reads the emotion. Yeah, a medium, exactly. And so the psychosexual moments that go in with the lead scientist's wife, that go in with the medium, are very, very interesting. And them trying to figure out that, yes, this is a haunted house, but who is it haunted by? I like that mystery. The ending is just completely off-putting, though. It's a very anticlimactic ending for such a great film or great lead-up within the film, that the ending comes about and you're just scratching your head going, that's either incredibly strange or incredibly stupid or both, because I don't know, it's just very strange. I don't know if I want to ruin it, though.
What I like about what actually just goes back to what I love about The Haunting, and I just want to quickly go back to The Haunting.
Go ahead.
I love the intro in The Haunting, where Julie Harris narrates that whole history of the house and all the bad things that have happened there. The Legend of Hell House sort of has that similar. I just love like the history they bring to both these haunted house pictures and what's maybe causing the haunting of these houses. I agree. The ending is just really weak. The revelation, the big revelation. Mm-hmm. But if you take that revelation away, he was still a very debauched character that haunts the Belasco house. I think the character's name is
Jeff,
Belasco.
now go ahead. I could see you're itching to say something. You really didn't like this movie. I mean, I'm surprised to hear you didn't like this one.
No, I didn't like it. As they said before, the ending to me is just totally ridiculous. It's sort of like Sherlock Holmes explaining how, who did it, and why. And I'm just like, I thought this was a haunted house film. I was bored, and it got me to thinking while I was watching the film, which is always bad. I started just having questions about the film, or maybe the characters that were never answered. And just like, I started totally thinking things that didn't have anything to do with the movie, like noticing how brown their teeth were, or, Roddy McDowall's whole performance and look.
I thought Roddy McDowall was actually very good in the film because, don't forget, he was a character. His character was a survivor of another haunted house experiment, and so he was kind of crazy, but he was determined to get through this one.
I don't know if he was crazy. I think he was incredibly afraid, and his acting conveyed that very, very well. The fear that he was feeling afraid within the house. He knew it was a bad idea going in the first place, but it was the lead scientist who was so determined to really confront this hoax. Or
he wanted to disprove that it was haunted. That there's an actual scientific reason behind everything that was going on.
And I thought that was very interesting how they tried to
It was
disturb
very interesting. What I also liked about the film was, like, in a lot of these films, you don't know who's going to survive and who. I mean, in some of these films, it's predictable who's going to survive and who isn't. In this film, it was kind of interesting that Roddy McDowall. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but who actually leaves standing, at the end of the film.
I'll give you that.
There's two things I have to comment though. The great soundtrack, which is really eerie and creepy, and it's basically ambient sounds, and it works very well with the visuals. And look for a cameo by Michael Gough.
Yes.
Who, the great Michael Gough, who, as you know, is Alfred from the original Batman
Part of the
movies.
very strange ending, but there you go.
There we go. Let's on to our next film, and this is, Mike, I'm going to hand the baton to you because I know this is one that you love. It's the 1970s Burnt Offerings, which was directed by Dan Curtis, which stars Oliver Reed and Karen Black.
I want to hear
And
this
I can already
review.
see you're smiling because you know Jeff's take on this one, so on to you,
I
sir.
don't actually know it, but he's huffing and puffing.
No,
over
I just
here.
want to hear your review first.
Let me tell you something. Burnt Offerings was one of these films that I saw when I was a child that freaked me out so much. I think one of the things that scares you right off the bat is how when Oliver Reed, who essentially plays a nebbish in this film.
A normal character for him.
A normal guy.
Exactly.
But then he has these moments where he becomes possessed by the force that is in the house. And he becomes the real Oliver Reed again, and scares the hell out of everybody in the movie,
You sure he just
everybody
didn't
watching
get his,
the movie.
You sure he just didn't get his booze behind set?
I don't know, but
Oh, God.
Oliver Reed, even though he does plenty of scenery chewing in this film, he is very good. He is one of these actors within this film that conveyed fear so well. The storyline is basically a couple from the suburbs finds this vacation home, and they decide to stay for the summer. It's not really a fixer-upper, but they rent from this kooky old couple, an older woman and an older man. The older man was played by Burgess Meredith, who is clearly a pedophile at the beginning of the film. And as they go on, they bring Betty Davis, who's Oliver Reed's aunt, and they bring her on. She's this very vivacious woman. But the house itself is a vampire. The house drains the energy of the people that are staying there. And it twists the Karen Black's character around so she becomes more possessed by the spirit. But the house sends these like tendrils out into like Oliver Reed to influence him. Also makes these fears come alive. And my guess is I guess the storyline comes about with the house being a creation of witches and a line of witches.
Well, don't give away too much now.
I'm not giving away the ending, but I think the ending's fantastic.
The ending is good. I'll give you that. But Jeff, please, I beg of you, please, you have the mic. Go for it.
I think you have to beg him. He's going to barrel into this one.
I would say out of all the haunted films that we're probably going to review, this is probably the only one that I could kind of like, only because of Oliver Reed. Because it was strange to see him playing a family man, and my favorite scene is when Oliver Reed is possessed and he beats his son up in a pool. I thought that was really interesting. I like the ideas going on in the film, but I also felt a little bit of false advertising because I thought Burgess Meredith was going to be in the film a lot more than he was. And I enjoyed Betty Davis. Calm down. I see you're...
I'm just adjusting.
I'll be like, don't hit me now. But I mean...
the lotion on the skin.
But, I guess considering where I thought the film was going to go, I found it kind of disappointing because it started off really well, and I thought, okay, this is finally going to be a haunted house film I'm going to like, and it just started losing steam as, to me, the storyline got a little more ridiculous and ridiculous.
But to go against what you said earlier with the haunted house theme, you can just leave. That's not the case in Burnt Offerings.
Exactly.
I'll give them that. You cannot leave. You cannot leave those grounds. And,
They try.
And the acting that Oliver Reed does towards the end is so great because you can tell he's just so tired and so fed up. It's like, it's not going to let me leave. And just goes back. But then they kind of do leave and realize that he's not,
Well, let's go to Eric here. You have anything to say about Burnt Offerings?
I can't really give a decent critical opinion because I haven't seen the film in a long time. I didn't know it was one of the offerings that was going to be discussed tonight. I mean, all I remember is that I was a kid when I saw it like Mike. I remember seeing it and had fond memories of it. There was like a bunch of films that were on TV. My recollection was it felt like a made-for-TV movie to me, if I recall.
That's the same thing I felt.
But but again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just up there with like certain films from my youth that were on TV that I saw. It scared me, like the Salem's Lot miniseries at the time, and something else used to freak me out all the time. Something about some demon creature, diamond-headed creatures living underneath some sort of grate. And does anyone know the name of this film?
Chud.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
That's
of dark.
it. That's the film. And that whole scary scene where the woman's trying to stop them from dragging her down, where she keeps using her flash and her camera. It's, for some reason, that has. And Trilogy of Terror is the other film. And somehow Burnt Offerings.
I'll tell you what I think about Burnt Offerings. Burnt Offerings, as I said, was directed by Dan Curtis, who did, I think, much better work with Trilogy of Terror, which is amazing little I guess to say, TV movie of the week. Incredible.
It's like a triptych.
It's a credible anthology film. Burnt Offerings to me it's a slow movie. It's like 2 hours. And it has a very depressing 70s atmosphere, not in a good way. It's just a very depressing film to look at. I feel the performances by Oliver Reed are very good, Karen Black, and Bette Davis. And I tell you something, if I was a director, I think I'd go crazy with all 3 of those people because they're known to be very eccentric people.
Bette Davis breaks your heart in that film. I'm sorry.
She's very good in the movie. There's a lot of positives. For me, I felt it was very slow and very drawn out. But I will say this, the ending is truly excellent. And it's a very good ending. I just wish the whole movie was at that level. But it is definitely worth a look.
And to give it credit, and we're going to talk about this next film here, to give it credit, it came up with that whole ending of the family being in the pictures of the witches and warlocks before the very famous haunted house filming of the Overlook Hotel.
Which is the 1980s version of The Shining, which was directed by Stanley Kubrick, which is probably known as the most famous horror. I guess you say the most famous haunted house movie. I guess you would say that, and it's probably one of the most influential.
And to me, one of the scariest films.
It is a very scary film. It was basically very loosely based on Stephen King's book. It's very different. It basically just takes...
It's not very different. That's unfair. I know Stephen King was pissed off.
I like it.
But one of the reasons Stephen King was pissed off about it is he didn't like the casting of Jack Nicholson, because Stephen King went on record and said that it's very clear that the way Nicholson portrays his character of Jack, you see that he's a murderous killer from the very beginning.
I agree.
When he's normal.
I agree. That's a problem for me with the movie, but I still love it. I mean, the film is loosely based on Stephen King's life. I mean, the character of Jack, because at the time Stephen King was a very bad alcoholic.
Jack Torrance.
Jack Torrance, which is played by Jack Nicholson in the movie. Stephen King had problems with alcohol and substance abuse at that time, I believe, and he basically put a little bit of himself in that character, and I think it meant a lot to him. The book is a very, very leisurely paced. It takes its time to develop. The Shining, just the minute it's like that, it goes, you know. And the problem I have with it is, I do agree with Stephen King, what he said. The minute you do see Jack Nicholson, even though he's amazing, I wish I could see some more scenes of him normal and then slowly changing into this character, or just, you know, at least a little change. Because the minute you see him in the chair, you go, God, this guy's a nut. You know, he's really eccentric, and there's a scene where they're driving in the car to the Overlook. Do you remember the scene I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, when they talk about the Donner Party.
Yeah, the Donner Party. You look at Jack, and he's just, like, looking at the road really seriously, like he wants to kill somebody. And you say, God, this guy's already off his rocker. He hasn't even gotten to the hotel yet.
See, I don't get that.
I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
And I'm going to debate that.
Go ahead.
Right now.
Ooh. Go ahead. I love it. Go ahead.
Yes, it's different from the book. And I'm infuriated with Stephen King for being so pissed off about that little thing. And to the point where he insisted on doing his own miniseries version, which sucked.
And he was mad that they didn't have the topiary animals that came to life.
You couldn't do the special effects back then for that.
What Kubrick was doing, he does this with a lot of his films and a lot of his actors and characterizations, where he's just creating a mood. Nicholson was actually perfectly cast for that version of The Shining.
I agree.
And that's why Shelley Duvall was so perfectly cast.
She's amazing.
Because she's just that fine line between being sympathetic and being annoying as hell. Shelley Duvall, I mean, everyone talks about Jack Nicholson, but her performance is wonderful, and sometimes she's not a very good actress in some things.
She's very uneven.
She's erratic. In this one, it was perfect, because on one hand, you understood his frustration. She was sort of annoying, but at the same time, you were incredibly sympathetic to her as well.
She did a wonderful job conveying terror. There's so many of these wonderful odd moments. I mean, the best moment, I think, in the movie is seeing the guy in the bear suit blowing the old man. I mean, because it's confusing, it's uncomfortable, it comes out of nowhere, and Shelley Duvall sees that, and the soundtrack is unbeatable. And to give it credit, that it is the first movie to develop the Steadicam shot.
Well, that's what was most influential about this film, was his use of camera shots to tell the story and create a mood, which is absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've seen like horror filmmakers from that point on try to do the same thing. Also, the use of sound is brilliant in this film.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the famous the big wheels going through, hitting the carpet, then hitting the floor.
Or the other one,
carpet.
wah, wah, wah. I mean,
Right.
let me tell you something. I'll get to you in a sec, Jeff, but one of the things that scared this movie to this day had one of the scariest things. Had the little thing that scared. That's two of the scariest moments. I mean, to this day, that still scare me to watch. Let me tell you something. Being at the same age I am, I mean, I was a kid. It scared me. Being today, it still scares me.
Same here. I've seen it.
It scares me.
I've seen it at least 25
I have
times.
to close my eyes.
It's also one of the few films that, there are films out there, they're like my favorite films, but I can't see it over again and again and again. Every time it's on TV, whatever, I just stop what I'm doing and I watch it all the way through.
Yeah, I have to watch it all the way to the amazing ending. Amazing ending. But it's not, and you know something? A lot of times you lose movies in the third act. You don't lose the movie in the third act here.
The Shining, the scenes that scared the bejesus out of me and still scare me are the scene where Jack enters a certain room with a certain number, which I don't want to give away for anyone who hasn't seen it, but if you haven't seen it, shame on you. And in another scene, I don't know why it scares me so much, but it just scares me. It's a scene where Shelley Duvall is running at the end, and all of a sudden you see these people in pig masks, and it just scares the living crap out of me. You know the scene I'm talking about? They're dressed like in New Year's costumes, and they have these masks.
Yeah, and the ball.
Yeah, the bear guy, and all that's when all that stuff starts.
That shouldn't even be that scary, but the way Kubrick edits
that's in their little apartment where the guy in the bear suit or boar suit or whatever is giving the blowjob to the old man that's sitting on the bed. Just completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a creepy movie, and it still holds up. I mean, for a movie that's repeated viewings, I mean, it still scares you, and you know what's going to happen?
Or for somebody that doesn't like haunted house movies.
No, this film I actually like a lot. I agree with everything all of you guys are saying, so I don't disagree. I just like to say, like the last shot of the film is the one that really scares the hell out of me because it just comes out of nowhere. You think the movie's ended in that last shot, and it's like, what the hell?
Oh, with the ice. Yes. Actually, believe it or not, that the film was changed.
Oh, I thought you were thinking of the picture shot.
No.
Actually, the film, my friend was actually lucky enough to see the film during its original run and told me the original ending because it was recalled after it played for about a week, and the ending was trimmed out. There's a scene where Danny and his mother, Shelley Duvall, make it to a hospital, and Danny is playing in a hallway with a ball, and then the ball moves on its own, and also you're hearing about like how they went to the hotel and they never found him or anything. And of course, it makes no sense, and it's wise that they cut the thing out. But definitely, I hope one day that it can be seen. That ending would be seen, hopefully on a DVD or something, so people can see it.
I wish it was shot in widescreen, but it was shot in TV format, so we can't get a widescreen of that unless they alter it.
Actually, it actually was shot open matte, and it's matted. The DVD, it's coming out on. It is matted for high definition TV, so it is letterbox at 1:8.5. In fact, it was meant to be that way. If you look at the opening,
because I always thought they shot it in the TV ratio.
Well, they shot it open matte. They shot it with a TV ratio, which is like this, and then you're meant to put the two bars on top of it to cover up dead space. So like you might see a boom mic, like the opening shot with the helicopter, you see the shadow of a helicopter during that great scene where they're driving through the mountains.
Right.
That was meant to be matted. So it is on letterboxed in high definition on DVD. Also on DVD, very interesting and something that must be seen. And it's very rare that you get an extra on a Kubrick DVD, but this is a great one. It's the making of The Shining, directed by Vivian Kubrick, who is Kubrick's daughter.
One of the best making of docs on any DVD.
Wonderful.
Completely worth it. Surreal as hell.
And it's a very rare access into the world of Kubrick's filmmaking. And you see the film being directed by Kubrick, and you see a wonderful scene, which I'm very surprised actually was shown. It was where Kubrick is just screaming and yelling at Shelley Duvall and making her look really stupid.
I'm watching Jack Nicholson warm up with the axe going, killer, killer,
Very
killer,
quickly
killer.
in the Stephen King thing, did anyone here read Dance Macabre?
Yes, I did.
Okay, one of the criticisms he has about The Shining, which I was completely infuriated with Stephen King, great book, but was really pissed off with what he said about this. His big criticism of The Shining was it was a film made by a guy who had never seen horror films before. So he indulged in all these horror film cliches, which everyone already knew, ergo the film wasn't scary because, he was indulging in all these cliches, which really pisses me off because no,
I agree with you 100% on that.
absolutely not.
The thing I love too is there's a shot in the movie which I'll never forget. In fact, it's in the documentary. It was the scene where you see Jack Nicholson in the actual refrigerator, and you see Kubrick just make up this shot on the fly. And this is a great scene, where check it out, and you see this underneath the shot of Nicholson like this in the refrigerator. It is an amazing shot, and it's definitely something you have not seen in a horror movie before. These type of weird angles and the use of the Steadicam is a perfect example of no horror cliches. I mean, you don't see that stuff in a horror film. This is
some of the best shot
done.
cuts in a horror film, too.
Ever.
And that's an overused thing nowadays.
Day 1, day 2, day 3. That the editing of that in there, and it was so abrupt.
And I love that because you really feel like, oh shit, something really bad's gonna happen on this.
And he did a great job of the slow pan, slow pan close up, slow pan withdrawal. I mean, wonderful job when Jack Nicholson is sitting there watching his wife and son playing in the hedge maze, and you just know that he's about ready to go off the deep end any minute.
That's a great shot.
Or the slow pan close up of the picture at the end, to reveal that this man's been absorbed into the essence of this house.
I love the movie. I think, like I said, the only criticism I have is like Jack Nicholson doesn't just, he doesn't develop, I don't think, enough. And I don't know if that's a problem with the script, Kubrick, or Nicholson himself. I don't know. I don't really care. It is a small criticism, but the film scares the shit out of me. That's what it was meant to do. It's beautiful to look at.
One of my all-time favorites.
And it's probably one of the most debated films in Kubrick's filmography, but we can all agree it's probably one of the most interesting in his filmography as well. Give it a shot, and if you don't like it, if you like Stephen King's book, then hell, you can go see his version of The Shining, and it's on DVD.
Just you can watch Topiary Animals go. You can see one half of Wings. One half of Wings play Jack Torrance.
Yeah, I think I'll avoid that. All right, I guess that will bring. Let's make this a two-parter, guys. I want to finish this up because we got 5 more movies here, and
holy mackerel!
I'm enjoying this. This is a great show.
We do this again. Let's do haunted houses again.
Well,
next show.
Let's make the next show. Let's continue it. We ran over on this one, and I think this was a good topic.
Rock on! So next time we see you, folks, it's going to be haunted houses again.
Haunted houses again, and we'll still be in the same clothing too. So hey,
awesome. And we're still going to all like Salisbury steak.
Until next week, check in for part 2 next week. Until then, thank you.
I don't like Salisbury steak.